Do you guide your patients into developing that kind of love for themselves? Do you teach people about developing that unconditional love?
Yes, I do, and you know, Philip, I do it with a lot of humor because a lot of people that are going through, say, an experience of trauma, you know that I live in South Africa. This is a violent society in many parts. We've got the most beautiful country. We have an extraordinary weather. We have natural beauty. We've got the animals. We've got the most incredible diversity of birds, food, fruit, whatever. But we also have that darker side where we have violence, and we have an incredible amount of sexual violence. So I very often receive patients that have been at the receiving end of sexual violence. And as soon as they arrive, my target is to lift them up, literally lift them up from that place of victim or survivor, if you want, of, say, a rape incident, and remind them of their own divinity. And I always say to these patients, I do not see a damaged body or a damaged mind. I see just the blueprint of perfection and who you truly are, the love that you truly are in this dimension, walking around as just a costume that got a little bit torn here and there, but you are intact. And when I start talking about them, about their costume, their body as their costume, they have to laugh, because this is truly the only way that I'm going to help them, to lift them from that very dark, heavy situation. So I always tell people, not only do you need love, but you need to remember that you already are loved. Because only love could survive those very dark, dense, painful roles that some of us play on this earth, such as victims or perpetrators of sexual violence, or any violence for that matter. But behind all of them, there is still the divine that needs to be allowed to shine. And when you help them to do that, you give them another perspective on themselves. You give them another perspective automatically on their experience. If I tell you that it is not you, whom you truly are, that has been harmed, who you truly are cannot be harmed, cannot be sexually or violently abused in any way. You cannot be cut, you cannot be dead, you cannot be touched, you cannot be broken. So I spend an infinite amount literally holding them to my heart and reminding them who you are is not who's sitting here playing this role. This is a role. And I remind them with laughter as well, and I am playing the big role of the one helping you also. But that's also not who I am. So I always try to bring the patients to that identification with their divine selves, because that is truly who we are. And then we are playing roles here. That's how we learn on planet Earth. In fact, you are playing the role of interviewer, and I am playing the role of interviewee. But you, Philip Snow, you are something else. You know, you are a part of the divine, incarnating a certain strain of energy that nobody else does, in the same way that I do, in the same way that the next person does. And so when we look at that, then I like to look at everyone as a different molecule of the body of God, and of the body of the divine, of the body of creation. And so all of them are just as useful as the others, and some, as painful as they may be sometimes to interact with, they still, behind them, this is this cosmic love holding it all together. And that's what makes life on Earth interesting. That's what allows us to learn, to discover our potentials, to discover, I find that with all my trauma patients, very often, and I would say almost 100% of the cases that I have been privileged to help, they always go onto a journey where otherwise they wouldn't have gone. So even the most dark events in life take people closer to the divine if they only allow that to happen. Because really, that is what we are on earth for, is to become aware that this is Maya, as the Hindu religion teaches us. This is the domain and the dimension of illusion, but this is not who we are. We are not our stuff, no more than we are our bodies or our costumes of biology. And seen from space, given the fact that we are 80% water, we probably looked upon as, oh, those legs of water were on 2 legs, And this is not who we are. We are truly like the great holographic projection. We are little bits of the hologram. And so we have power to change, to shift, to heal. So yes, all of us can heal, all of us can love, because we are expressions of that love anyway. And what we do with it, that is the uniqueness of the divine cosmic play, is that you're going to do something with it, and I am doing healing with it. And I'm happy doing it because maybe that is my vocation, and maybe that has been my vocation on many lifetimes, most likely.
And you do healing on cancer patients, don't you? And sometimes with advanced stages of cancer.
Yes.
What's the process involved there, and what does it lead to? Have you found?
Well, I try to make them aware, because awareness is something that is very healing. If you become aware of what created it in the first place, what is the single event or the pattern of thought, of feeling, of emotion, of life that created the cancer, there is always more than one pattern. There is an emotional pattern, and in that emotional pattern very often there is an absence of self-love, or there is anger, or there is some other emotion that is really winning on that person's life. So let us take liver cancer. You find that liver and pancreatic cancer, the person will have very often a pattern of really being angry, of having explosive anger outbursts. If this person is never made aware how toxic those outbursts can be, or better still, why do you get so angry? Why don't you go and let this, because anger for me is always frozen pain somewhere. So why don't you go and throw that out and find out what is it that you need to release, what pain is it that has not been acknowledged. So yes, when I have those patients, I need to go a little bit running through their life and making them see the patterns, because not everyone will develop the same cancers in the same space. And that immaterially, whether you are drinking rotten water somewhere or eating the same diet, you find that there is a diversity that aligns with all the spirit bodies, the emotional body, the thought patterns, the patterns of feeling. That is very, very, very powerful how the disease is going to develop and where exactly. So I take them through this process of discovery. Very often you find that there is loss, that there is trauma, that there is an event of some kind that traumatized them, shocked them, hurt them very profoundly. And then once the person is aware of it, I go into the aspect of how responsible we are of everything that is in our lives. And so it is very easy for us to take ownership and recognize the things that are beautiful in our lives. Oh, I made this beautiful garden, and look at my new car that I just manifested, and my beautiful house that I just bought. But nobody's going to say, look at my ugly divorce that I've just made, my miserable relationship, or my cancer that I've just made. But it doesn't matter. In the end, we are creators of our reality. And so I go with great gentleness into this aspect of bringing this awareness of, if you create anything in your life, guess what? This power that allows you to create also allows you to create a new, meaning you can uncreate whatever it is that you created. But you need to then take a serious approach to breaking your patterns of negative thought, negative attitudes, negative feelings, resentment, unforgiveness, pain, whatever it is, because those things are the big soup from which great diseases end up affecting our lives. So once I do that, I then lay the patient, and then I ask to be made the instrument of love, light, and healing for them. And I never take ownership of a good or bad result, because I remain the instrument, remember. But we have free will, so the patient also has that free will. And free will today, I find in a lot of patients, is so embroiled with a belief system that, oh no, I can't, I don't believe it. If the person surrenders entirely, very often you find that they can literally heal of cancer at any stage. But if the person is still embroiled in the old belief system that they need to go through chemo and through operations and through pain, and there is no pain without gain, and that sort of belief system, then, I also, Philip, love to explain to people something so stupid and something so basic that we never think about it, which is so in your face that you never think about it. And that is that if we are energy in a universe of energy, and how do we communicate? How do you communicate at that level? How do you engage with the universe around you? And I always like to say this. We know that there is free will. We see free will at work everywhere. And we have to understand that in a universe that is so benevolent, then there can only be one word that the universe utters back to us in any response, and that is okay. So it is always listening and saying okay. So you are saying something, oh my God, my cancer is too advanced, I can't hear. And the universe is saying, okay. You are saying, no, I'm going to beat this. My life is not over. I need to get on with life, forgive, do this, do that. And the universe is saying, okay. So I make them aware of this, and I say, write okay everywhere in your house, so that it makes you aware what you are thinking, what you are intending, what we are expressing, what you are feeling, And I also remind people to engage with their divine presence, because if I call myself a spiritual healer, I have to give all the grace to spirit that works through me, if I am supposed to be just an instrument. And I always say, ask your divine presence. Ask that it takes control of your thoughts, of your words, of your intentions, of your feelings, so that all you think or say or intend or feel or do will be in perfect divine order. And so my appointments, as you can imagine, they go from anything between 2 hours and 3 hours, and sometimes longer, but the person is not the same again. It's almost like a reprogramming of the whole belief system, reminding them that they are love already. You don't have to go and beg for love. You are love, And so that is my role. And I always say my role as a healer is just maybe to wake up here and there the ones that come to me, because when people come to me, they come in a very sad space of disconnection. So I feel that my deepest act of love for them is to connect them to their own divine power. And then they can heal of anything.